This video is just a very quick tutorial on how to do a lab report for general chemistry labs. So the first thing is you can get this title page off of Blackboard, or you can make your own title page using Microsoft Word, or just turn it in using pen and paper. So there's a lot of flexibility, but here's a template that I just used. And put your name, the name of the experiment. This is the first experiment, the sample one that's uploaded on Blackboard. Some of the partners, so usually you're going to be working in groups of 3 or 2. And then the lab report, really what I want to get to the heart is the components of a lab report. This is totally different from your lab notebook, which you'll turn in at the end of the semester. This lab report is something you will turn in every week until we finish all the labs in the syllabus. The first part is your discussion and comments. So this is something I want to take some time in discussing. Simply, this is an evaluation and, as the name suggests, a discussion of the experiment. It has nothing to do with the course. It has nothing to do with the lecture. You don't want to write here that this lab coincided well with the lecture, or this lab took too long, or this lab took too short. You really want to abstain or refrain completely away from opinion and just focus on the data, because this is your lab, your data. So this is something you want to showcase, and you showcase that in the discussion and comments section. And you do not have to write essays, and you do not have to write 2 or 3 lines, but something that is really an encapsulation of what you found. So for example, in this first experiment, we were measuring water, 10 mils of water 4 times using the beaker, the graduated cylinder, and the glass pipette. So you can report the averages that your group found along with the standard deviations. And then the overall goal was which was more accurate and which was more precise. Now, when I did it with my group, we found that the most precise measurement was the glass pipette, and the most accurate was the graduated cylinder, 99.83%. So you want to report your findings, maybe do a little bit of analysis of your data. Just sort of like an abstract. In a real scientific paper, I would read this and then say, oh, interesting, let me go deep into the data now. So that is what a discussion section will be. And every lab is going to be different. So for your lab that involves nomenclature, this discussion section will be totally different. You'll talk about the different ion names and chemical names and formula names that you utilized using the spreadsheet program. So every discussion will have its unique talking points and will have its unique results and data. So that is your discussion and comments section. Again, do not copy or duplicate others' work, even though you're going to work in groups of 3 to 4. And just stay away from opinion, stay away from first person, try to write in a scientific manner. So having said that, we can move on to the next section of the lab report, and that is the data and the results section. So basically for this lab, this is all our data. So data tables, calculations, any type of numbers that you will use to gather or generate your data, that goes in your data and results section. So make sure you properly label the topics, because when I check off these lab reports, I'm going to check for a data and results section, or if you handwrite this or decide to use your own template, I'll check for a discussion and comments section. So label each department or section of the lab report. So for this particular lab, we have all our different tables, so that's your data and results section. Any type of calculations also go in data and results, and if you're going to turn it in, please use Microsoft Equation Editor. If you want to learn how to do that, I can't teach it to a class of 20 to 30 students, but I can teach it to you individually, so you can come see me with your laptop. For the nomenclature lab, you're going to, unfortunately, students don't like it. They will have to write down all of the compound names and formula names in that part of the data and results section. Again, every lab will be different. All right, so let's go to the next section here, and that's the pre-lab questions. So notice you write the heading, pre-lab questions, and then just go ahead and answer your questions that are in the pre-lab handout. Show your work. Again, utilize Microsoft Equation Editor anytime you need to show calculations if you're going to use a computer to print out your lab report. And then the final section will be your post-lab questions. So notice here that The pre-lab and the post-lab all go into the same lab report. Nothing goes in the lab notebook. Your lab notebook is just your raw data and along with any observations. After you do your post-lab questions towards the end, that really is the end of your lab report. Some students actually put in a conclusion section where they conclude and give some final thoughts. I'll let you decide if you want to do that. Those are the sections that go into your lab report. You want to have a title page, discussion and comments. Again, a lot of issues with previous years and previous students just turning in very short, opinionated, and sort of tying it into the lecture. We want you to report your data. Report it proudly. Also report any mistakes or fallacies or what you think went wrong. Try to do this without using first person. Okay, any data tables or calculations go in your second section, the data and results. And then finally, pre-lab questions, you can answer them, and post-lab questions. This can be turned in handwritten. This can be turned in a computer form. You can mix and match, whatever makes you comfortable. But this will be a formal report that will be turned in every week. If you take a night class, it will be due on the date that's stipulated in the syllabus.